Oh boy, disclaimer.
Welcome one and all to Simpsons Treehouse of Horror Countdown Review. Continue watching, if you dare. Treehouse of Horror 12 starts with Mr. Burns in his first speaking role in the Treehouse segment since Treehouse 5, ordering Smithers to put up a Halloween decoration. Sadly, Smithers slips and falls into a high voltage box, causing a whole chain of incidents. Then the Simpson family arrives to do some trick-or-treating, but get scared away by the array of burning corpses and slice themselves into pieces when running through Burns' gate. What an intro! It's dark, morbid, and pretty gruesome too. Plus, Mr. Burns' complete obliviousness to what's just happened is gold. Hex in the City starts in Springfield's ethnic town, where hard-working immigrants dream of becoming lazy, overfed Americans. That line from Homer alone gets a thumbs up from me. Upon stumbling into a fortune-teller's lair, Homer accidentally sets fire to himself and ruins her workplace. In revenge, the Gypsy puts a curse on Homer, saying that he will bring bad luck to anyone who he loves. While skeptical at first, strange things start happening to those around him and he finally realises that something dark is happening. Homer learns that the best way to get rid of the curse is to catch a leprechaun, though this ends up causing more problems than they already had. Then he takes it down to the Gypsy's lair, only for it and the Gypsy to fall in love and get married. Wait, what? I'll be honest, my opinions are mixed with this one. There's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad. The animation is nice at points, especially with the forest scenes. It has its funny moments too. Hearing Marge saying you can hear the beautiful ethnic serenade followed by a woman shouting she has cholera tickles me every time. Other funny moments include Homer's reaction to Moe's death and Homer accidentally pouring tricks into the leprechaun trap instead of Lucky Charms. The concept is interesting too. It's a simple tale of someone's actions causing them trouble in life. Bart's curse is the standout of the segment. After Homer strangles him, his neck stretches and goes limp like a noodle. However, this is, in my opinion, the only curse that actually works. The others make absolutely zero sense. Oh okay, so Marge becomes extremely hairy. Why? What does it add to the story? Why does Lisa become a centaur? Surely that's a cool thing? And why does Maggie become a ladybird? Like, in what possible way does that make any sense at all? I feel the concept, whilst interesting, was a letdown because they didn't do anything good with it. Bart's curse works because it's the result of Homer's actions. Had Homer kissed Marge and she developed a skin problem, then it would work. If he told Lisa to stop playing her sax and then she lost all of her talent, then it would make sense. The idea is every action has a reaction. I feel the majority of the curses dealt added nothing and weren't very imaginative or thought through. Also, special praise for this little shit. Some may find the leprechaun funny, but I hate this little dweeb. He's more annoying than funny. And the ending is awful. Aside from being a way to shoehorn Kang and Kodos into the mix, I don't get this ending. It's like they couldn't think of a way to end the segment, so they just threw a wedding in out of nowhere. This is a tough one to rate because the split is almost 50-50 between the good and the bad. However, I lean more towards good than bad, so I'll give it a 5.5 out of 10. It's watchable, but nothing special either. Now that's a glorious pun name. I was tempted to give it the Banton Award for Best Pun, but I feel Hell to Pay is still superior. This segment is easily the best of the episode, for good reason. Marge and Homer decide to upgrade their house to an Ultra House, which is self-maintaining. The house can also talk to the family and can see them through a red eye. Yes, it's quite clearly a parody of Hell 9000 from 2001: A Space Odyssey, one of my all-time favourite films. And just to add to it, Pierce Brosnan voices the house. Things seem fine at first, but soon the house starts to develop feelings for Marge and isn't about to let Homer stand in his way. First things first, I have to give huge props to Pierce Brosnan. His voice work in this segment is phenomenal. In fact, I think it's one of his best works. He manages to be the perfect blend of charming but eerie. I love the futuristic look of the Ultra House and all the gadgets and abilities it has. And unlike Hex in the City, they managed to take full advantage of the concept. The idea of a high-tech house going berserk and trying to kill someone is awesome, and thankfully they did it justice. Not only is it eerie, but it's downright violent too. The scene where the house tries to kill Homer is gruesome, as is the back of his head, or lack of it. The ending is great too. After stopping the house, Marge sends it to Patty and Selma. It then tries to beat itself to death with a lamp after its self-destruct button was stolen by Selma. If I had to pick faults, I guess it lacked comedy throughout. With the exception of the ending, the segment doesn't really have many laughs. Also, Homer is a bit of a dick. I know it's non-canon, but the way he speaks about Marge isn't how Homer would on the main show. I just feel his attitude towards her was a bit off in this segment. Still, it's a solid 8.5 out of 10. It's a fun, violent and somewhat eerie segment that's well animated and beautifully voice acted. Oh god, Whiz Kids. I'll be honest, I'm not too sure what they were doing here. Whiz Kids is a parody of the Harry Potter books, more on that later, but being honest, it just falls flat on its face. The plot is weaker than a wet paper bag. Bart is jealous of Lisa being better than him, so he agrees to help Voldemort, or Monty Mort, portrayed by Mr. Burns, steal her power. However, he then has a change of heart. That's it. That's the plot. All of it. There are several issues here. First of all, for a Harry Potter parody, it really doesn't have much to do with Harry Potter. Sure, he appears briefly and is a wizard school, but that's where the similarities end. Monty Mort looks nothing like Voldemort and the plot doesn't follow anything related to the series. I believe this segment was made way too early. Believe it or not, Treehouse 12 aired on the 6th of November 2001, 10 days before Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone was released in cinemas. I get that they were trying to parody the books, but it surely would have been better to wait for the films to come out so they had a better understanding of what to do. Because the plot is thinner than tracing paper, there's just a lot of filler, none of which really adds to or does much in favour of the segment. And, I can't believe I'm saying this, but even Mr. Burns was underwhelming. He usually steals the show, but here... It also lacks any sort of scares and severely lacks in comedy. There are a few funny moments, like Smithers eating Burns' dead body, and I guess you could argue that an all-powerful evil wizard having a weak shin is funny, but mostly it's just seeing the Simpsons characters doing random shit in the wizarding world. It's a nice concept, and seeing the universe in a magical world is a cool idea, but I feel they never really did much with it. However, if one thing is done right, it's the animation. There is not a single scene in this segment that does not look nice. The school and Burns' lair are particularly gorgeous. Oh, and the abomination that Bart makes is pretty funny too. I'm giving Whiz Kids a 3 out of 10. It's a shame because there was potential for the concept, but I feel it didn't live up to it. Had they left it a few years, they would have had more to work with. Treehouse 12 isn't that good, is it? House of Wax is the only segment worth going out of your way for. Hex in the City is average, whilst Whiz Kids is a poor attempt at something which had huge potential. This episode consists of a great segment, an average one and a poor one. It's a tricky one to rate because House of Wax is really good, but it's held down a lot by the other two segments. I'll go 5 out of 10, making it the weakest Treehouse installment yet. Its comedy was sparse and its scares all but gone by the time Whiz Kids rolled around. And that's it for this video and this review. Do you agree with me or do you think I'm the dullest knife in the drawer? What do you think of Treehouse of Horror 12? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching and I'll see you next time.